because I know you have different questions for me. So I'm Adele Poratto, and I'm married to this wonderful man, Daryl Mullen. We French women keep our maiden names, and together we have 5 children and 10 grandchildren, but I didn't birth all 5 of them, so that's a good thing. I have a late husband, and I was a single mother for quite a few years, so you know when you're a single person, you've got to struggle and you've got to do, oh, it's working out. See, she's the, oh, it isn't.
Don't. Oh, it is working. Ooh, there you go. Now that's going to be really loud. Well, I decided to run, I have 2 businesses. One is called Beauté Decor. I'm an event planner, and I'm also, I officiate weddings, and I'm also a celebrant. So I marry and bury, and I decorate in between. I put on major events, anywhere between 200 to 2,000, and that's probably where I've seen some of you, and some of you have helped. My husband has a building company. He's a contractor builder, and that's actually how we met. He was building and I was decorating, so it kind of made for a good blend. And we come from different backgrounds, but I'll let you know the other business that I have is called French Please, and I teach French as a second language, and I also do translating. So if you need anything translated, I have some girls that can do that. And I would say boys, but mostly girls like to translate. And Daryl's company is, and I work in that business as well, Castle Rock Contractors. So we've seen everything from, you know, selling our houses really low to buying high, and we've seen everything happen here in Alberta. And as entrepreneurs, we are really the backbone of society. We have to pivot when things are tough, just like farmers. I'm sure some of you are farmers in here. And we have to keep going. We've got to put bread on the table, and we've got to feed our kids and clothe them. So I think, and I was born and raised with an Italian father saying, you can't expect government to help you. You can't expect a handout. You have to work hard, and you have to be smart, and you have to be creative. And he says he had 7 children. My mother had them. She birthed them. But he wanted his 5 daughters to be just as qualified as his 2 sons. And even being Italian, it's so nice to be here at an Italian place. Thank you for hosting us this evening. How about a hand for our hosts here? They're so lovely, and even look Italian with the chapeau. But it can be French too, you know, because we like hats. So I come from a family where at supper time we had to put the radio on as we sat down to eat for 15 minutes and take something from the radio and then discuss it. Because my father wanted us to find out what was happening in our community and maybe find a solution, or did we agree with that part of the news. And you know, when we were growing up with 5 girls, you can imagine at supper time the phone was ringing off the hook, and we had to tell all our boyfriends, do not call at supper time. My father will not let us answer it, and he would ring and ring, and he would take it off the hook. But he really instilled in us a way to build our business and to care for our community. He was a Knights of Columbus. He was involved with a few societies. He started the first Montessori group, and it was a group of gentlemen that paid for underprivileged high school and to go to college or university. But it was underprivileged that had good marks, but their parents couldn't afford to send them. So that's how he started this Montessori. And then later on, he went to Italy and found out there was a Montessori teaching, so he brought it, and this was in Ontario. So, learning all that, I decided I was going to stay at home and have just a bunch of children and cook and clean like my mother did. But she did an amazing job. She did all the books, and she raised her 7 children and did all the sewing for us. So she did her entrepreneurial job as well. So when I was 16, my father, being Italian and English, we spoke English to my dad and French to my mom. At 16, when I was 16, he had asked us, does anybody want to come to Ottawa with me? We lived in Sudbury, Ontario at the time. And come with me to the Conservative convention. And of course, my mother was going to go because she was a liberal, she was French. And he said, I want you kids to learn about politics because every time I vote, your mother negates my vote. So I'm going to have some of you kids in here that are going to be conservative. So, and she voted like that because her parents voted like that, So I went with him to Ottawa. And the drive from Sudbury to Ottawa is like almost 8 or 9 hours. It's crazy. And the highways weren't as good as they are today. But it was really great to listen to my dad and hear about his stories and what he did for business, etc. But it was when I went there and I was sitting there and these people are walking up to the mic and saying, in my city, in my town, this is what we need. We are struggling with this. We need better schools, etc. There was a whole bunch of things. And after, I was so amazed. It actually changed my life. And it was a pivot time for me. On the way home, I kept on saying to my dad, when I grow up, I'm going to be a politician because I'm going to be able to help these people. And he said, well, before you get there, there's a lot more you need to do and a lot more you have to learn to do. And one of the things is to become an entrepreneur. Because when you have to have your own business, you have to save money to pay for certain things, as you know, for the baking, for the whipped cream, for the coffee, for the tea, etc. And you have to pay your staff. So he said, the first thing you need to do is start a business. So at 16, I started my first business, and it was a small town, Sudbury, Ontario, and it was a mining town. But we had a lot of French-speaking people there, and women loved to dress there. So I thought, well, I'm going to start a modeling school in Sudbury, Ontario. So I gathered 12 girls, 12 tall, skinny, short, whatever, beautiful girls, and I said, let's go to different malls, and I'm going to put on fashion shows. And that was my first try at business. And one day I had paid the girls. I didn't pay them much. I mean, I paid for their cap and their pantyhose. That was to start. And I'd say, if you need makeup, I can pay for that. I wasn't paying them by the hour at the time, but I noticed there was nothing left for me. And my father said, that's how you learn about business, and that's how you learn about the community, etc. So from there, I learned that I needed to find out, I think those people are trying to come in, about advocating for people. And I'm going to come forward a little bit. I have been advocating for people ever since I was, I guess, 21 years old. And the first one was to get involved on a committee to organize an event. And the second one was when I had my children in school. I got on the PTA and got involved with the school board because I sent my children to French school and there was mice running around. And I thought, we've got to do something about this. This was a terrible school, but we were French and we got the second-hand stuff. And so we started a group of women writing petitions to the government and advocating for our kids, saying, our kids need better than this and we need choice. And if anybody's asking, choice in education is very important to me. Our 3 girls have their children in different systems, and it works. One is in Catholic, one is in private and one is in public system. And they're adults, they have children, they have choices. And I would have trouble if we were all under one umbrella, because there's part of our freedom if we don't have choices. So choice in education is very important to me. So advocating for people. I'm going to go a little bit further here. I've been involved on 26 boards here in Red Deer, and I've lived here for a little over 24 years. And I've been involved on the Community Housing Advisory Board, the Mayor's Task Force, the United Way on the Cabinet. So you're advocating for people, you're raising funds, you're helping people. And I believe that I'm best positioned to be the representative of this city because of all those things I've done. I just stepped down, as I told these gentlemen, I shouldn't say step down, I took my year as president of Rotary, and we just turned 100 years old last Friday. So I'm not 100, but I'm one of the 3 women. I know, it's good makeup, you know. I'm one of 3 women that became president in that club, Rotary Downtown Club, and Rob is Rotarian there as well. So we advocate for people, we fundraise, and you've heard of our black tie bingos probably. We and Dawn is part of our club as well. I'm looking at the Rotarians.
Your fault.
My fault, yes. I'm always recruiting women, don't tell Rob. Because I think we need to build that. We're on the tipping point, as Donna says, to get out there and work and be qualified to do things for our community. So my passion runs deep for this community, and I'll just go into the things that I have started, and also the things that I want to stand for as I run in this election coming up. On Saturday, we will know if I get the job to run as the candidate, and then I have to run in another race to run against the NDP. So I'm really running. I forgot to tell you that, hon. I'm running 2 races. Oh, are you okay with that? So seniors. Seniors are near and dear to my heart because during the pandemic, my people, some of my people from back east, my mother's side of the family, died in their beds. They died in rooms. They were so sick we couldn't take care of them. But things came to the surface, and we discovered some things that we should have taken care of a long time ago. So that was one thing that COVID did that helped us wake up and find out what's happening. So I thought, well, I'd like to do something for the seniors, me, myself, and I, and maybe a few people. And so I started looking for projects. And one of the projects that came to me it started in Copenhagen, and it's called Cycling Without Age, and it's a trishaw. So you probably know what a rickshaw looks like, but the trishaw is different. There's the bike in the back, and then there's a 2-seater in the front, and people can sit in the front. And so I proposed this to my board, my Rotary board, because I thought, oh, I'm part of Rotary, I'm going to get them to get involved. And, you know, it's never that easy because there's 12 people and they all have their opinions. And one of the things that came to the surface was, okay, what about liability, Adele? They fall off. Are are we going to get sued? You know, do you know CPR, et cetera, et cetera? Are there bandages on this trishaw, et cetera? So we looked at a whole bunch of things, and it took almost a year to put something together. And now we have a foundation, and there's about 7 of us on this committee, and it's called Cycling Without Age, and in June we're going to launch it. But last summer we were in the parade. I don't know if you were at the parade. We had our little trishaw in the parade, and we started driving these little things near the downtown area, and we wanted people to be able to see the trails. So as you're sitting there cycling without age, you can somebody rides in the back, drives in the back, and we call them pilots. So that's how we get them excited, because it's not just, you're not just a biker, you're a pilot. So you wear the helmet, and they have to be trained for CPR, etc. And so that's one of the things that I started during the pandemic. You know, what else do I do? I'm a creative person, I gotta think of something to do. But it was really good that my Rotary Club now is sponsoring us for $8,000 a year, and we have to do the rest of the fundraising. Like fixing the tires, we have a nurse on staff that can be there in case there's an emergency, so many others. So I can go on and on about this, but I've gone to a lot of senior residents, and I've kind of sold the idea to them, and they're so excited because they get out of their room, sit down, and one of the things that we ask them is, while we're driving you, you have to tell us a story. And you wouldn't believe the stories we've heard. Oh, my husband and I kissed on that little bench. And well, our first date was near this tree. So those are the things that we want to take with us and get them involved again in society, as opposed to shutting them in. So that's one of the things I really advocate for, is seniors. The other one is affordability, not just for seniors, but young people. And I don't have I have 3 young people on my team. 2 of them are going to college, and they would have been here tonight, but they're studying for exams. Go figure. But young kids today with 2 incomes can't buy a home. And we need to help them and work with that. I know we started in an apartment, and then we'd have a kid, and then we went to a bigger house, and it's not like that today. We can have 2 of us working and build something, but if they can't even afford to buy a home, there's something wrong there. So we need to work with that, and I will champion any initiative for to make life more affordable. And multiculturalism, that's one of the things that, as Pat said, I have Filipinos on my team. Actually, you know what, tonight, I have some Filipinos and also people from Africa door knocking. So because you're not home, they're probably door knocking on your door right now. I've had, how many? About 12 that are door knocking all over the place. And they love to work, they love politics, they love to do something for the community, because they come from a country where the vote and the person was already chosen. They are part of my team because they say, Miss Adele, and they're so polite, Miss Adele, or Aunt Adele, or Madame Adele, because I taught French for so long, a lot of the people call me Madame Adele. They say, we know that when we vote for someone, they're going to listen to us because we put them there. And I'll go back to my dad. My dad used to always say, who is government? And we'd all answer, we are government. He said, yes, you are government because you have a voice and you put that person in place. So you have to keep them accountable. And that's what we have to do as government. We are government. So I have this one young man, he's Filipino, and I have a young pastor who came to me one day and he said, you know, Miss Adele, we have come to this country with nothing. We have raised our children, we work 3 jobs, we send money home to our parents and our grandparents and our aunts and uncles, and we never ask for money. We work hard and we want to be part of something. How can we get involved in what you do? And I said, well, let's get somebody on the board. So we have a young man now that put his name forward, the first Filipino, on the South Red Deer board. And he's so excited. He's nervous and he's only gone to 2 meetings. But he said, it's amazing how much I've learned. And so I said to the pastor that was asking me, how can I get my people involved? And I said, 1 step at a time. We've got him now. He can then represent you. So that's how I believe in multiculturalism, getting the people involved. I put on a few events this summer for the Ukrainian people that came. We had 200 families at one point. We have more coming in. So I did a fundraiser at somebody's home. We were really blessed to have this beautiful home on the lake. And he said, Adele, the only thing is you can only invite 100 people in my house because I only have 100 chairs. So I thought, whoa, I can do that. So I got it catered and I got it sponsored. And it was an amazing event. And we raised, I think, $78,000 that one night. So there are things as a group that we can do. And on that thought, do you know what politics means in Greek? Politik means a group of people discussing things that happen in your city and to better the city and to better the community. It is a city, it's a community. So that's what politics is all about. They say, oh, it's just politics. It's politics because they're discussing what they can do to better their workplace. They're talking for their church. They're talking for their school. That's what politics is. And that's what we have to remember, that it's a discussion that we take, but if we want something done, we have to just bring it a little further. I digress. Supporting businesses, small businesses. As a business owner, entrepreneur, I believe that we are the backbone of society. I was telling the lady just tonight, when I was growing up, when you were sick, you stayed home. But if you were well, you went out to work for the sick. And we did it wrong this time with this pandemic, and we have to get back to the table and say, what did we do right, what did we do wrong during the pandemic? Something huge happened to us, and people were running around trying to figure out what to do. And we weren't prepared. You know, when there's a flood here in Red Deer, they're prepared because they've had a few. I mean, I remember when the water came up to the steps at City Hall one year. They're prepared because it's happened. Now, we have to be prepared for the next pandemic because there will be one. So we have to go back and talk about the things, and not in a derogatory, mean way. Talk about it as a group and say, okay, this worked, this didn't work. Listen to the people so that you can bring it to the ledge so they can hear, he went through this, she went through this, I went through this, and this is how we're gonna build our community and protect ourselves from the next pandemic. Overseeing the hospital expansion. We all have our little hospital story. I'm sure we all have our health issues. And that is one of the things that I want to make sure that I oversee, because we need to see shovels in the ground. As an event coordinator, I said, all we need is a whole bunch of flags and a whole bunch of shovels, and then you'll know something's happening. But when you don't see anything, people get worried, and you have to get the community involved to find out that there is something going on. And we got the money, we got the funding. I have all the funding things that we have here. We're going to get the money. It's going to take time, but now we have to make sure that, as they say, that the devil's in the details. We have to make sure that we oversee it and push it through. And some people have said to me that unfortunately that is not pushing fast enough because the North and the South need to work together. And on that note, Adriana LaGrange, who's the Minister of Education, is a good friend of mine. And I believe that we could work together to build this city and do it together. I'm calling us the bookends, because if the North is doing something and the South is doing something, and we're not working together, how can we build the city? You know, we need two people to build it. We need two MLAs, but we need to work together. We have to have the same vision. And she's a minister. She's got a lot on her plate. So we can work with her. We can work with the South and get involved. And one lady was saying something about a school problem. We were at, I don't know if I can share this. And she said, what can we do? And I said, the first thing we do is get together as parents, write notes, and let your Minister of Education know what you're struggling with in your classroom, what your kids are struggling with. and what you're coming against, etc. And then she can then take it to the legislature and let the premier then discuss in groups how we're gonna, how we're gonna make this work. But we need to have advocates like you. We need the people involved. Because leadership, and I really believe in leadership, it is not serving just a small interest group. It's listening to everyone and finding a path forward. So I believe that we can make a path forward. We have to work together, we have to work in unity, and we have to gather ourselves and let go of all the problems from the past and say, okay, what can we do to make this better? What can we do to make Red Deer a beacon so that people can stop here and on their way from Calgary to Edmonton and say, wow, they have amazing cannoli. They have amazing food in the city. They have a beautiful park. I can go for cycling without age before I go to Edmonton. So that's what we want Red Deer to be, and that's where my heart is. And I would be honored to be your MLA for Red Deer South. So I'm going to take questions. I didn't want to take questions from the floor because you probably